Welcome to English Storytelling Podcast, where I share stories of love, longing, and the choices that shape our lives. I'm Melody, and today, I bring you a story about promises made, hearts broken, and the relentless passage of time. This is the story Chasing Love. Let me introduce you to my characters. Samuel Carter, a young man full of dreams and ambition. At 20, he is deeply in love with his wife, Annabelle, and promises to build a better future for them. But the allure of the city, the weight of survival, and the pull of temptation begin to change him. Annabelle Carter, his devoted wife, who waits patiently in their quiet countryside home. With unwavering love, she holds onto the hope that Samuel will return. But as the years pass, she begins to wonder, how long can love withstand the silence? Lara Monroe, a woman who knows the power of beauty and survival. Working in a dimly lit bar, she lives in a world where love is fleeting, and security is everything. When Samuel walks into her life, she feels something she cannot name. But is it enough to make her stay? 8 years. 3 lives entwined. And a love that once burned bright, now fading into the echoes of time. Stay with me as we unfold this heart-breaking and unforgettable journey. When Samuel was 20 years old, he lived a peaceful life with Annabelle, his gentle wife. They got married when he was 20, and she was 18, happily spending 2 years together, in a small house, in a quiet countryside. However, poverty constantly troubled him. He didn't want to spend his whole life confined to farming. So he decided to leave for the city to earn money, promising to return once he had secured a better future for them. He left with the promise of sending money back and keeping in touch, but the glamorous city quickly drowned him in its challenges and temptations. Samuel found a job at a factory, but urban life wasn't as easy as he had imagined. The work was exhausting, the wages were meager, yet he persevered, always thinking of Annabelle and the promise he had made. As time passed, the struggles and distractions of the city gradually changed Samuel. He began losing the image of the loving, devoted husband he once was. He grew colder and more distant. Letters to Annabelle became fewer, and when he called home, the conversations were brief and awkward. Meanwhile, in the small countryside, Annabelle continued to wait for him every day. She never complained, but deep down, she couldn't help but worry. The cold winter winds continued to blow, but her love remained as warm as ever. However, she knew that the increasing distance between them would test their love. One evening, after a long and tiring week, Samuel entered a bar, and his eyes immediately met those of Lara, a bartender. He was a tall young man of 20, with tanned skin, wavy brown hair, and deep brown eyes that held a mesmerizing charm. With the rugged handsomeness of a countryman, he naturally attracted the attention of the women in the bar. Lara, also 20, was equally striking. She had porcelain, white skin, mysterious brown eyes, and long, glossy black hair that shimmered under the dim bar lights. She wore a red, low-cut dress that hugged her waist, accentuating her curves. The soft fabric clung to her body, as if it had been tailored just for her. Her hair was loosely pinned up, with a few strands cascading seductively, enhancing her allure. When they locked eyes, their beauty seemed to blend together, irresistible. A powerful attraction sparked between them from the first glance, as if everything around them faded away. Samuel, a man who rarely let emotions control him, suddenly found himself drawn into Lara's world. Forgetting about his wife back home, forgetting his promises and responsibilities. After that fateful encounter, Samuel and Lara began meeting more often, always in secret, knowing that their relationship could never be openly accepted. Lara lived in a world where her beauty and charm could bring her wealth, and she couldn't risk everything for someone like Samuel. No matter how much he loved her, he was a man with a sincere heart, but he couldn't provide her with the luxury and security that only wealthy men could offer. Years passed, and Samuel continued living in the city with Lara, the beautiful and captivating woman who worked at the bar where he had found a job. At first, she saw him as nothing more than a fleeting pleasure, a handsome young man to pass the time when there were no wealthy patrons around. But Samuel fell deeply for her, loving her so much that he was willing to do anything to keep her by his side. Their relationship remained a series of secret meetings, stolen nights, and lonely hours. Each time Samuel left, Lara felt an unexplainable emptiness. But she always returned to the life she knew she couldn't escape. The life with other men, those who could provide the luxury she craved. 8 years later, when Lara met a rich man and decided to settle down with him, she couldn't deny the lingering sadness in her heart. Though she still loved Samuel and was captivated by his charm, she knew she couldn't keep living in a love affair with no future, no protection, no wealth. 8 years had passed like a fleeting dream. The passionate young man of 20 had become a seasoned, rugged, and hardened man. His experiences made him alluring in a different way, a quiet strength that Lara still found irresistible. But for her, that wasn't enough to make her stay. With her youth and beauty still intact, she needed to use them to secure her future with rich men, not struggle alongside someone still fighting to make a living. In the end, after years of secret love and no real future, Lara left Samuel to pursue a more luxurious life. Lara is smiling, but with a hint of sadness in her voice.
You know, I can't be with you openly. You know I need men with money with power. I can't have everything with you, even if I want to.
Samuel is tilting his head, eyes full of understanding, but also pain.
I can't change that. But I'll work harder so I can give you everything you want. I'll always be here for you.
Lara looked at Samuel, feeling torn inside. She knew he was the only man she had ever truly loved. But the reality was, money and the comfort it brought were things she couldn't abandon. Lara is sighing, looking up at him.
You can't give me what I want, Samuel. Even if I still think of you, I need more than that. What I need now is protection, security, and the care of a man who can give me everything I desire.
Samuel is silent for a moment, then nodding sadly.
Do you understand? You deserve those things.
Samuel bitterly realized that he had lost too much time. Looking back, he had nothing left. That was when he decided to return to his hometown, to find Annabelle, the woman he had once loved. When Samuel returned home after 8 years, he rode along the familiar road, his heart filled with hope. He stepped into his old house, but it was empty. As the sun set, a faint sound came from the door. Annabelle walked in. She was still as beautiful as ever, but the maturity in her features made her even more captivating. Her brown hair was neatly tied in a simple yet elegant style, and she wore a light blue, off-the-shoulder dress that gently embraced her figure, giving her a soft but irresistible charm. They stood facing each other, but in her eyes, there was no joy, only a quiet sadness. Samuel smiled, his heart swelling with hope. He took her hands, speaking of the years they had been apart, of the longing that never faded. He pulled her into his arms, pressing his lips against hers, craving the warmth he once knew. Annabelle hesitated slightly, but she didn't resist when Samuel gently pulled down her dress and kissed her soft skin that had once belonged to him. But as his lips met hers, he felt a tear fall from her eyes onto his lips. He stopped, looking at her in confusion. It was then that Annabelle whispered, her voice trembling,
"I am 2 months pregnant with James' child."
Samuel felt like he had been struck by lightning. He let go of her, stepping back, his heart tightening in pain. She was still as beautiful as ever, but the reality that her body now belonged to another man crushed him. If only he had come back 2 months earlier, maybe things would have been different. But now, all that remained between them were memories, and an unbridgeable distance. Annabelle lowered her head, tears streaming down her face.
"If you had come back sooner, maybe I wouldn't be in this situation. James was always there for me. I thought you would never return. I was weak, and I gave him everything. I'm sorry, Samuel. I still love you, but I can't change the fact that I'm going to have James' child. I've made my choice. I'll be moving in with him in a few days."
Samuel silently packed a few things and walked out of the house. Annabelle watched his retreating figure, tears falling uncontrollably. She had loved him, still loved him, but she couldn't change reality. Samuel walked down the empty country road, his steps heavy. The night wind was freezing, but it wasn't as cold as his heart. He had everything, then lost everything. A single tear rolled down his cheek, unseen in the vast darkness. He kept walking, further and further away, leaving behind a love that was once beautiful, but was now only a painful memory.